I mean, when you think about it, we live in a joke country, an absolute joke country. We've got joke money now. We've got joke banking system. We've got a joke education system, a joke social services, a joke mental health system, which treats people, for the most part, pretty appallingly. We've got a joke leadership. We've got a joke parliament that thinks it can do all sorts of things that it can't actually do. The only thing that's ever going to save us is by having better organising ideas. The reason we're such a joke is because of the low quality of the organising ideas, running things. The top-down management system from government and so on is not informed by really good quality organising ideas. It's command and control, and it's just destroying us. And this book shows that despite that, people can actually do an enormous amount if they have better quality organising ideas. Now, because we're driven by nature to get these innate emotional needs met, if we can't do so in healthy ways, we try and do so in unhealthy ways. So just think about what that means. So supposing you've got a child brought up in a rough area, it is driven to connect up to the wider community. It's driven to look for peers to belong to. And this is in this child, it can't help it. So it's going to join up with whatever's there. And if what's there is the local sort of gang of hoodlums and drug pushers and so forth, it'll join up with them. It can't help it. And that's what happens. It's not really the child's fault at all. It's innateness to connect up to whatever's around us. So there again, it's beholden on society to make sure that there are good groups for children to connect up to, young people. Now, what is this situation in terms of the emotional needs being met in this country? Where are we at the moment? Well, we've been doing an emotional needs audit on the internet. 7,500 people have filled this in. And you can extrapolate from these answers. It gives you a ballpark figure, some interesting results. If you extrapolate out to the population of the country, the need to feel secure, for example, nearly 4 million people feel totally insecure in this country. How badly is that going to affect the emotional health of those people? And they're people who just tick 1 out of 1 to 7. But 23 million people marked below the mean. In other words, they didn't even mark halfway 4. They marked 1, 2, or 3. So that's how, and incidentally, I took this about 6 months ago off of this program. We've seen since then, as you could imagine with the credit crunch and all the way, how miserable the news has been for the last 6 months, we can see that that's going up, which is, you know, people are worried about their jobs, they're worried about being able to pay the bills and house repossessions and so forth. 5%, 3 million people feel they get no attention at all. And 21 million people mark below the mean. We also asked other questions. I haven't put them all up here, I've just put some of the highlights. We also asked them how well they thought they gave other people attention as well, for example. 3.3 million people feel they have no control or volition over what happens to them. 30.7% mark below the mean. That's about 18 million people don't feel they have much control over events in their life. Bearing in mind, all these are needs, innate needs that nature put in us, says we have to get met. So is it any wonder if these needs aren't being met? 1 in 5 children are arriving in schools emotionally distressed. 1 in 10 children is said to be mentally ill. We're living in a culture, I mean, this is not healthy. Connection to the community. Nearly 5 million people said they didn't feel connected to the community at all, and 34% marked below the mean. Over 10.5 million people feel they have no intimate relationship, no friend, no lover, no partner, no married relationship, no close family relationships, no intimate relationships. That's a huge number of people. 3.3 feel they have no achievements or competencies at all. And a quarter of the population mark below the mean. They don't feel very competent at anything. And what does that say about our education system? Being stretched, finding life meaningful. 7.2%, that's over 4 million people, feel they're not being stretched in ways that give life meaning. And 30% mark below the mean. 18 million odd people feel that their life is not stretching enough. I'm just putting out there to illustrate the size of the problem that we're facing in what is really quite a rich and wealthy and colourful country. But we're still facing big problems. Now, stress. What are the origins of stress? Well, it's pretty straightforward, isn't it? We know that stress is what we experience when we feel pressures and demands building up on us, and we feel we can't do anything about those demands. And all those demands are connected to innate needs not being met. So, the feelings of discomfort, hunger, anxiety, frustration, boredom, anger, depression, etc., they're all put there by nature to tell us that something's wrong and to make us take action to do something to correct it.